the valley where the girls get naked. If you throwing bands, then you know she gon' shake it. 1, 2, break.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of TayTalks. I'm Taylor, your host, and today I'm back. Lots of things have been going on since the last time I've talked to you all. And just like everybody else, COVID-19 put me in a rut. The murder of George Floyd put me in a rut. The murder of Breonna Taylor put me in a rut. So I'm back. Since then, better things have been going on. I recently got the opportunity to be a VIP red carpet host for the second annual Kansas City People's Choice Awards, and that was super fun. I got the opportunity to see so many successful Black people from Kansas City, and I loved being able to see them all dressed up and have a good time. So then right after that, I had a birthday. I got to go ziplining. So between those couple of things and watching the WAP video over and over and watching P Valley every chance I get, I've been feeling like a Betty, so I'm back. But anyway, have you guys been watching P Valley? If you don't know, P Valley is a new series on Starz by Katori Hall, and it really just follows the lives of the dancers and other workers in a strip club in the Mississippi Delta. So it unfolds from there. But I got the opportunity to sit down with actress Toni Bryce, who just made her debut in episode 5 of P Valley, titled Belly. So check that out. But yeah, I got to sit down and talk to her about working on P Valley, how she got into acting, and also her role as a trans activist. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you. All right, I want to welcome everybody again to another episode of Tay Talks. Thank you for joining me. Once again, I am here with Miss Toni Bryce. Toni, how are you doing? Thank you again.
Oh, I'm making it. God is good. And no problem. Thank you for considering me to be on your platform. I appreciate you.
Of course, now people don't know this, but I really want to thank you because this is our second try at this. So I appreciate you being patient with me about technology. And thank you.
No problem at all.
And Toni, you are an actress and an activist, but I want to tell you, I'm breaking my rule now. You're not from Kansas City. You're not KC.
Oh, I'm not.
You're not from KC. That's okay. I broke the rule, but can you
So
tell
normally,
me?
we normally have KC people on here.
I do. I'm breaking the rule. Like this is a big deal.
Well, hey, Kansas
So where are
City
you
people.
from? Where are you from?
So originally I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois, but I also grew up in St. Louis. So like equally divided amongst, lifespan. So I just say St. Louis, whether people take it for East St. Louis, North County, the city, wherever. So St. Louis.
Okay. And where are you right now?
Currently I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Ooh. Excuse me. Excuse me out because you're an actress. That's like Black Hollywood. Atlanta's a perfect place to be right now. So you are actually also an activist, and you host a web show called Trans Table Talks. Is it on Thursdays?
Yes, Thursdays at 6 on Facebook.
Thursdays. So you're also a trans activist. Can you tell us more about Trans Table Talks and other things you're doing in the trans and LGBTQ community?
So Trans Table Talk, being a trans activist, you think everybody has their part in the movement, whether that's on the front lines, whether it's in politics, whether it's wherever, social media, because that's another part, because that's how we are in the know a lot of the times is social media. So I feel like every platform has relevance, every platform is significant. So for me, I was like, in this time, what can I do? What can I do to, highlight Black trans lives in general as a collective? And I was like, why not create a show? And so I was playing around with names, and then, obviously, Red Table Talk.
I was gonna say Jada.
Entanglement, Miss Entanglement. So I was inspired by the title of that show and named it Trans Table Talk. So basically, it's just really a platform to amplify the voices of trans people. And even if you're not trans, but if the topic is always going to be centered around trans. Like two episodes, I had a gender non-conforming person on there, and then another episode, I had a Black man who is gay. And I kind of based the episodes off what's triggering me the week prior to, and then that's what comes up. So we'll see what happens on this Thursday.
That kind of brings me into what's going on nowadays. So as a Black trans woman, right after the death of George Floyd in May and everything like that, of course, there was this huge Black Lives Matters swing, and a whole nother movement started back up. Laws are changing and everything like that. As a Black trans woman, how does the lack of support from the Black community make you feel during this time, like during this time of the huge Black Lives Matter movement, but at the same time we're leaving people out? Like, how does that?
I had made a status, and I was just saying, mattering is fucking exhausting. And that's really how I feel. I feel exhausted because on one end, we as Black trans women specifically are being murdered, by the hands of people within our own community. And then on the other end, when you think of Black Lives Matter is not just about police brutality. It's about criminal injustices amongst people, Black people, period. And so in the very moment that sparked and what created Black Lives Matter was when Trayvon Martin was killed by George Zimmerman, who wasn't a police officer. He was a neighborhood watch. So, and then I recently went on their website, and they have become so inclusive in their verbiage. And I don't fault the movement as a whole and the creators of the movement, because technically the movement was created by Black queer women. The people that I feel like I fought the most are the people that's out there, charging the movement forward, because we are silenced, we are forgotten, we are erased out of the movement. I'm like, we are Black bodies at the end of the day. And so it's exhausting, it's frustrating. It because when I have to go out and march because I'm Black, my brother is Black, my sister is Black, my mom and my uncles are Black, but nobody is out there caring about our trans lives. You know what I'm saying? And like, we just had the ACA take back or, remove us from being protected in healthcare. We just had single-sex homeless shelters. The administration is telling them, oh, now y'all can discriminate against trans people. The victory in all of this, can't come in last month, was the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We are now a protected class of people under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Thank God for that. And what people also don't speak about, because again, erased, silence, forgotten. The third case was brought to the Supreme Court by a trans woman. Her name was Amy Stevens. And she was a part of that change with getting us protections under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And not only trans people, but gay people, LGBTQ plus people, not just the T, but everybody. So, we've always been here. We've always been a part of pushing the movement forward and fighting for everybody. But I feel like when it comes to us, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
And because that's what the evidence shows. It's like, it's no way that people should be getting stabbed and murdered, brutal, vicious murders, and nobody's doing anything. Not Black people, not white people, not women, not men, nothing, and it doesn't make sense. So that was why I wanted your opinion on that, because it's like, yeah, this is a great movement and everything, but we still have work to do. I feel like a big way to help us, period, is education. And that's another reason I wanted you on the show, because to be an ally, you have to understand things that you don't know. So to be an ally and to be like a real deal ally, what are some things that we should know or be mindful of ourselves about the trans community or LGBT community, as far as even language, like things like that? Like, what are some things we should be mindful of?
Well, I always say my number one advice for people to be better allies is show up. And what do I mean by showing up? Like, show up in every aspect. Show up when there's an injustice. Show up when the administration is trying to erase us. Show up when somebody is trying to misgender or use the incorrect pronouns. Like, show up. And I feel like that's the number one thing that I feel like that anybody can do to be a better ally. I also feel like you have to create and create the space to invite us into the space. You know what I'm saying? And it's so, this idea of inclusivity, be inclusive is so just, it's crazy to me because I'm like, we're Black. We should have to be included. Exactly. We are automatically a part of the movement because I'm Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am Black at the end of the day. And yeah, so this whole idea of inclusion, I guess it's, or inclusion, I said inclusion. I
thought this go.
You know, I guess since we're having to, you know, speak about including the people, but create spaces, invite us into this to the room, have a seat at the table to discuss these topics like what you're doing right now. Invite one of us to the table to have this conversation about our lived experiences, about what we go through every day. And Google is your best friend. Like, if you don't have a person directly that you can talk to, Google is your best friend. Or reach out to people like myself that are trans activists in the community that don't mind having these conversations. And even though I don't owe nobody nothing, I don't mind having a conversation to educate or guide or whatever. But yeah, like, those are my things. Show up, invite us into the space. I think in mainstream media, as it relates to TV shows, I think they're getting better.
Okay.
They don't got no choice, honestly. But
exactly. I was about to say, you are changing mainstream media as well. Well, okay.
I'm trying to do my little part.
Exactly. You're an actress, and I know you are cast in a new show on Starz, and it's called P-Valley. Can you tell us about your character in that show and everything else?
So my character, I
said I want to know everything.
I wish I can say everything, but my character doesn't really have an arc on P-Valley. My character comes in for one episode, which is episode 5. Okay. She is caught doing some things and she's put into a place. So I can't really say much. What I can say is her name is Nineveh. But what I will also shout out is Katori Hall, which she's the creator and showrunner of the show. And she did that, and she could have chose anybody. She could have chose anybody. The season was already written out. They were already filming it. And she could have chose anybody. And she called me because I originally auditioned for the show back in 2018. And if anybody has watched the show last night on Starz, the first episode, I originally auditioned for the character of Uncle Clifford, which is a Black, queer, non-gender conforming person who goes by the pronoun she, her. And so that's why I originally auditioned for, and then in 2019, I went to just do background because I was like, I want to see what this show is about. Like, what's going on? Because when I would Google it, I would never find much. And then when I went, I seen Katori, and we had that conversation. And that following Monday, her casting director was like, "Hey, Toni, Katori added this role. Are you available and want to be a part?" And I was like, absolutely. And that's so,
I think that is so cool because even with actors, no matter what, it's like out of nowhere. Sometimes you could just be in something with a star or in a major network, and now you're in the business. So it's like, but this isn't your first experience, basically in a show. Have you been in any other TV shows or movies or anything, even as like any type of roles or anything like that?
So I was in every season of Star, just doing background. The last season of Star was more of a feature background. I was one of the friends to the character Dior on the show. And so, so this would be my first official speaking role within a character on the show. So like, this is really, even though I've been on TV for years now in the background, this is my first official, this is my TV debut. So
that's crazy.
Episode 5.
Congratulations.
If the show continues to air the way it's airing, it'll be August 9th is the 5th episode.
That's my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Perfect.
Well,
It's gonna
happy
be a
early
wonderful show.
birthday.
That's gonna be a wonderful show.
And Katori says it's her favorite episode too. So I'm excited to see what it's gonna be.
That is so exciting. I am so happy
Yeah.
for you. That's good.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I was just telling Dwayne, the CEO of Let Us Live magazine, I was like, for me, like this is my promo tour, to be on TayTalks and Hey Mikey and Let Us Live magazine. Because, I'm not a main character. I'm not somebody that is really going to be probably, I don't know. I don't know, God, we'll see what happens when the episode airs, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not a main character. So I don't get the perks of the main characters, It's kind of like when you come on as the co-star, guest star, you do what you do, and then that's just it. And and for me to just be in one episode, like there's really, not a lasting effect just from it being the first season. Now we'll see what happens in the second season.
I was about to say,
who
you
knows
never
what
know.
might happen.
Exactly.
But
like people could see this and be like, who is that? And
right.
A bunch of stuff. This could lead to so many opportunities. That's why it's
That's
so
what I'm
cool.
praying for.
Okay, well, as far as like actress life, all kinds of inspiration like that, what woman inspires you the most? Like it could be a celebrity, anybody.
Mm-hmm. What woman inspires me the most? Oh, that is hard. Well, okay, so what I'll say right now, the person that has been inspired me the most in this moment, let me say that. I'll use that. I'll be real specific.
Mm-hmm.
In this moment, the person that has inspired me the most, I would say, is probably Marsha P. Johnson. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's because Marsha and Sylvia, they were, Marsha was a Black trans person. Sylvia was a Latina trans person. And they, again, like when I talk about Stonewall, they were trailblazers in that movement that created the LGBT pride that we have now. Right. And I feel like I've been, like, everything that I've done, I just keep them in mind, like trying to honor them and everything that they worked so hard for. Mm-hmm. And because I don't feel like I was doing that before, because a lot of people, again, since we're so erased out of different movements, mm-hmm. You don't really have the knowledge or the background of what happened, when it happened, et cetera, et cetera. It's so whitewashed. It's so male dominated. And mm-hmm. I'm like, it's not even giving that. It's not even giving that. So I would say Marsha P. Johnson at this particular time.
That's
at
cool.
This particular time. And but there's a whole bunch of girls that I love now. Huh?
I said you're what she wanted. Like you're an example.
Right, and so they have, the shirt that says "I'm my ancestors' wildest dream," and yeah, I really do feel that way about my trans ancestors, because they probably would have never imagined.
That's really all I have for you. I'm elated. I'm happy that we got to sit down and do this. Before we leave though, tell everybody your Instagram handles. Where do we find you? Facebook, all that stuff. Okay. So, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube. I try to keep it consistent across the board, so I'm not all over the place. But the, as in the, mm-hmm. Toni Bryce, T-O, oh, I almost forgot my name. So, Child, what's my name? So the as in the, not V, but the as in the Toni, Toni Bryce, Bryce on all social media platforms. Okay. Well, the is in the Toni Bryce. Thank you so much. Thank you for being my guest today. And I thank you for helping us to learn how to be better allies, or be allies, period, to the trans community and to the LGBTQ community, period. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. No, thank you for having me. Like I told Dwayne, being on these kind of platforms is dope to me, because again, like, y'all could go after and try to get whoever y'all want to get. And so for me to be considered amongst those people, is dope. And especially, you only interviewing the Kansas City people, and I'm not in Kansas City, But what I will say about Kansas City is one of my favorite memories
little less to do with Kansas City. It just happened in Kansas City. When I was in high school, I auditioned for the New York Conservatory of Dramatic Arts, and like thousands and thousands audition every year, but they only allow like 191 in. And I went to Kansas City to have my audition. I got accepted into that school. I couldn't go because of the loan. So every time I think of Kansas City, I think about that moment because that was that, and that's an achievement I always carry with me.
I'm falling, 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 falling.